President Uhuru Kenyatta now says the Ministry of Lands and the National Land Commission will be held accountable for the events that led to the tear gassing of pupils at the Langata Road Primary School. The president says the ministry and the commission should have resolved the land row before it got to the protest. The president, who was launching the country's foreign policy, also says the headmaster of the school will be held responsible for letting pupils risk their lives while bringing down the walls.
It is deplorable in the manner in which the police handled those young children, and indeed action will be taken against the officers responsible. But what is more disappointing to me is the fact that we even had to get to that level. Why did the police have to get involved? Where was the Ministry of Lands? Where was the National Land Commission? Why did they not resolve this problem? What were they doing? And this goes to heart to say that what I have said, we will begin to take action against our own ministers and officials who fail to take action when they are supposed to take action. Why did the police need to be involved? The police did not need to be involved in that whole saga. Why didn't the Lands Ministry, why didn't the National Land Commission? We have been reading and hearing about this whole issue since December of last year. Why did they not take the necessary action? And this is something that they must account more than even the police officers, because they are the ones who should have taken the necessary action to come and tell us yesterday that the school belongs to the land. Why didn't you tell us that before and do the necessary paperwork? So those two in the respective ministries will also be held to account. But even as I say that, the headmaster should also answer a couple of questions. How do you allow your students to go and demolish walls? What if that wall fell on those children? What language would we have been speaking about today?
Still on the same, Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Nkaissery has apologized over the tear gassing of pupils at the Langata Road Primary School by police. Nkaissery, who visited the school early this morning, told pupils the government will fence the land for the school and level the playground for the pupils. He also ordered the developer who had put a wall around the land to clear the debris and collect any other material within 24 hours. Several pupils were injured after police lobbed tear gas at them during the demonstration over the grabbed land of the school's playground by a private developer.
Mulikula tear gas kidogo, si kweli? Yes. Mulikula tear gas? Yes. Na hiyo tear gas haikuwa mzuri? Yes. So I have come to apologize. Kusema hiyo haikuwa mzuri na hatua imechukuliwa na haitafanyika tena, na kwa hivyo shule yenu itachungwa na serikali. Nitafanya kuanzia kutoka hapa, prisoners watakuja ku clean this mambo ambayo imeharibika jana, alafu serikali itafence shule. Wapi mwalimu? Yeah, you are there. Yeah. So the government will do whatever it is possible to ensure that this compound is now fenced, so that grabbers, their days are numbered. Okay? Kwa hivyo hii compound hii pia tutaleta engineers watalevel hii ground ndio watoto waweze kufanya nini? Kuchezea. Kwa hivyo watoto nyinyi, I can assure you, you relax. Your school will never be taken. Again, Interior Minister of the government of Kenya has given you that promise. Is that? Yes.
Some good news there for students of the Langata Road Primary School. And still on matters education, the Ministry of Education has this morning released admission letters for the candidates who sat their Kenya Certificate of Primary Education exams last year. Our reporter Patrick Amimo joins us on phone from the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, where Education Cabinet Secretary Jacob Kaimenyi made his remarks over this year's Form 1 selection. Patrick Amimo, if you can hear me, just give us an update on what is happening there right now.
Indeed. Thank you, Ian. What is happening now is that already the Principal Secretary for Education, Dr. Belio Kipsang, is handing over letters to head school principals and head teachers of the various candidates or students who are selected to join their national schools. There are 103 national schools countrywide, and all their principals and head teachers were here to receive these the names from the Ministry of Education. Ian?
Well, Amimo, previously we've seen especially the private sector complaining about the selection process. Did the Cabinet Secretary talk about this perhaps?
Yeah, indeed. There are certain criteria that were set by the Ministry for the choice of students who are joining Form 1, and this was one based on merit. Also the choice of students, the school they chose. There was also the issue of the quota system, equity and affirmative action, especially from areas, those marginalized areas. And the ministry says these are the criteria that it chose when it came to selection of students. That's why, like the ministry notes that there were certain schools that attracted a lot of applicants, like Alliance Girls, Alliance Boys, and Mangu High School, which had applications of for more than 140,000 students wishing to join these schools. So out of 103 national schools, you can imagine that these three schools were the most well sought after by candidates. Now, the Principal Secretary did challenge those from the private schools to set up institutions, secondary schools, to also partner with the government in setting up secondary institutions. But those in the private sector that I did talk to are complaining that the 15% quota that was given to private schools is like discriminating students in private schools, because they say in education there's no student who is either belongs to public school or private school. They want the selection process to be done on equity. Ian?
Thank you very much. That is Patrick Amimo joining us from the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, of course, just giving us an update on the Form 1 selection, and we shall have a comprehensive story on that in our subsequent bulletins. We move on now. The country has for the first time published a foreign policy and diaspora policy. President Uhuru Kenyatta today launched the two documents at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in a ceremony attended by ambassadors, international envoys, and members of the private sector. The documents are based on pillars including economic, environmental, diaspora, and peace diplomacy. Sharon Mumanyi attended the event and now joins us live. Sharon, we did not have a foreign policy before. Is this the case?
Yes, Ian, for the first time in Kenya history, the government has published these two documents, that is the foreign policy document and the diaspora policy document. But it's not the first time that they come into existence. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs being categorical to say that these documents, these policies rather, did exist before. It is just that it is now that they have come to be published. And it is important to note also that they specify that this has been a long consultative process that started in 2006, a process that they say involved a lot of consultation with the ministries of culture and stakeholders, for example, in the Department of Defense, just to ensure that they have a comprehensive policy with regard to how Kenya involves and engages with other countries in these particular sectors. And it is also important to note, Ian, that this government has been particularly aggressive or deliberate in engaging with the Kenyans living abroad, and that is the diaspora. And they have this policy now, the diaspora policy, just to ensure that the process, they say that the whole idea was birthed out of the need to involve the Kenyans living abroad in the process of developing the country both socially and economically. And Kenyans will be keen to see how this actually plays out. We will remember that last year there were several incidents where Kenyans, particularly those living in the Arab UAE, were harassed, and Kenyans, particularly domestic workers living there, were reported to be abused. And Kenyans will be out to watch just how these policies relate to how Kenyans in diaspora are treated and how they come back to invest in the country. And speaking in matters investments, I am joined now by our business reporter, Abby Agina, who will be telling us exactly how the diaspora policy will relate to the country in matters development, economic development. Abby.
Many thanks there, Sharon. And as you've rightly put it, that the Kenyan government is really interested in engaging more with the diaspora. And statistics that have come out so far indicate that the contributions from the diaspora hit about $1.2 billion. And joining me is the president of the Kenya Alliance of the People Living in the Diaspora, Dr. Shemo Chodho. Welcome.
Thank you very much. We must commend the government for today launching the diaspora policy. We've been looking forward to it. But to add icing to the cake, we're happy that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has identified 100,000 jobs in the Middle East. As diaspora, we're going to work closely, and most of the Kenya Diaspora Alliance, or KDA, are going to work very closely with government because we have membership even in the Middle East. Some of the senior Kenyans who are already established there, who will be working with the new Kenyans who may go there to ensure that their rights are not violated. But even more importantly, we will be working together with the government and the appropriate arms of government to ensure that opportunities open up even in other jurisdictions. But having said that, yes, diaspora remit into the economy are hoping $1.4 billion every year. The World Bank puts this to be double. They say the official figures are less by half. So we believe there are $2 billion. That's about 2 trillion Kenya shillings coming into the economy from the diaspora. As Kenya Diaspora Alliance, we've made a formal presentation to government saying if they are prepared to work with the diaspora, to make diaspora feel wanted, to improve the investment environment, this figure could double in the next 3 to 5 years to $4 or $5 billion.
Maybe just to barge in, looking at this particular document, what are some of the gains that people should expect, especially Kenyans working in the diaspora? It is estimated that there are about 3 million Kenyans living and working in the diaspora. What impact will this policy document have on how they interact with the government, on how they can invest back home?
I think we recognize as diaspora that this policy is a first step. But remember also we had 2 policies being launched today, diaspora and foreign, and they are related. I should say that many diaspora will say, oh, we were not consulted in this. But that's understandable. There may not have been sufficient time. This is just the beginning. We believe it can be improved upon. And I think some of the things we want to see moving forward in the policies, improving the investment environment, engaging diaspora, engaging to empower sport, culture, film. All these are areas where diaspora can contribute. Next month in Las Vegas, we expect about 70,000 people. Of those, about 10,000 are Kenyans who will be watching rugby. We're saying to government, please, now we have a platform and a framework in which we can engage for the betterment of our country. I may also just finally add that it's a bit unfortunate, whereas Excellency the President is saying you're going to vote in 2017, and the Court of Appeal in September did rule that diaspora should be registered to vote. But on Thursday, on the 22nd, we'll be back in the Supreme Court. IEBC has appealed. They don't seem to want diaspora to vote. This is an antidote that needs to be addressed. But we are happy with the policy.
Many thanks there, Dr. Shemo Chodho, who is the president of the Kenya Alliance of the People Living in the Diaspora, just shedding light into what they should be expecting moving forward. Let's now cross over back to Ian for more news.
Thank you very much, Abby and Sharon, on matters foreign policy. We move on, and a family in Loruk, Baringo County, was forced to cancel the burial plans for the remains of its kin after the body of the deceased went missing from the hospital morgue. The 17-year-old boy, whose body was found at the shores of Lake Baringo, was allegedly attacked by a crocodile as he was fishing in the lake, and his body transferred to Baringo County Referral Hospital. The incident, then treated as a police case, however, took 16 days before family members decided to bury their kin, just to realize that his body had been disposed of and buried in a public cemetery. Here is that story.
This is the intended resting place for the late 17-year-old Kipkemoi Davis Akeno, but his family says the body has mysteriously disappeared.
Kaburi ikichimbwa na inaiwachwa namna hiyo ni lana kubwa. Ujue wengine watafuata. Nani ako tayari kufa kwa hii boma? Kama kwa familia yetu tukaona afadhali tuweke miti.
The late Kipkemoi is said to have been attacked and killed by a crocodile.
Polisi wakaenda kuangalia, wakawajua ni kweli, wakatoa hiyo mwili nje na kungojea watu wa WS.
According to family members, the body was transferred to the mortuary in the company of police officers.
Mimi naona kama hakuna amtaenda. Tukajiuliza kwa nini? Nani ataenda kuweka saini wakati kiweka huko? Nasema hapana, hii ni mambo ya polisi.
Who also instructed them to raise money for postmortem to be conducted.
Plus the father ikawa watu 5. But at long last, tukakuta ya kwamba hakuna mmoja hata ya familia yetu hata mmoja ambaye alienda wapi? Postmortem.
On arrival at the hospital to collect the body, though, the family says they were informed that it had been buried.
Simplest term ile alitumia akasema hiyo kuna order ilitoka from the authority kwamba the body be exposed. Bodies, not one body, bodies. Nikauliza bodies hiyo nikusema nini? Mimi I'm not looking for bodies, I'm looking for my son.
Hiyo kitu ilikuwa kikwazo kwangu sana. Kama ingewezekana mwili ya mtoto itolewe.
And subsequently we got clearance from the police to proceed and bury the body. That was done on Monday, and our understanding is the family was involved. They were clear about it, that they were not going to come and collect the body.
The family says they have established that the postmortem was allegedly conducted on the 8th of this month, and yet it is claimed that the body, among other bodies, were buried on the 7th. The big question is just what is going on here? Why was the hospital in a hurry to dispose of the body? And why was the family not involved in the postmortem process?
Kwa nini? Hapo kuna maneno.
Kamchemenza, KTN from Baringo County.
Well, and that story brings us to a close this afternoon, but do join us in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Ian Ofula. For now, enjoy the rest of your viewing.